Born in 1907 to Otto and Marguerite Brockmeyer in Mankato, Minnesota, Winfried was the fourth of 9 children. His grandfather was the famous Professor Heinrich Dietrich Friedrich Brockmeyer, founder of the first Lutheran school in Mankato. His friends and siblings affectionately called him Skinny. He had older brothers to challenge him to excel. In high school, he led Mankato to championships in football, basketball, and track on the way to setting many state records. In his 4 years at Minnesota, he played all the backfield positions and was selected captain by his teammates. At Minnesota, he played for Doc Spears and for Fritz Chrysler. He counted as teammates Bronco Nagurski, Biggie Munn, Harlan Wood, Bob Tanner, Art Farmer, and Jack Manders. He was involved in 22 wins and 11 losses in 4 years at Minnesota, and often led the Golden Gophers in rushing, passing, and scoring. He often said that he was successful early in his career on the gridiron because he could hide behind his friend Bronco Nagurski, and at 148 pounds, dripping wet, no one could see him. In those days, college football players played both ways, but the Minnesota Flash threw passes, returned punts and kickoffs, ran off tackle, punted and drop-kicked, and tackled Indiana's Chuck high-diving Bennett. In his senior year, he was selected to play in the East-West All-Star Game in San Francisco. In that same year, he convinced his high school sweetheart, Helen May Date, to marry him. She was not at all pleased when he went to San Francisco to play football. For a short time, he played professional football for the Minnesota All-Stars. In that Depression year, Brock was the only person from his department at Minnesota to be offered a job. After arriving late one morning, Fergus Falls superintendent put it to him directly, "Mr. Brockmeyer, you're going to have to decide if you want to be a ball player or a teacher." In 1934, he and Helen moved to Faribault, Minnesota, and coached Minnesota All-American and Heisman winner Bruce Smith before beginning his legendary career as coach of the Wausau Cardinals, later to become known as the Wausau Lumberjacks. In 1939, his basketball team won the state tournament, the last tournament that Wausau was allowed to participate in until 1946 because of World War II. In those war years, Brock coached all of the sports, including boxing, track, basketball, golf, and, of course, football. In the 20s, he played with the greatest football player of all time, Bronco Nagurski. In the 30s, he coached Bruce Smith, who won the Heisman Trophy and the 1942 Most Valuable Player in the All-Star Game against the Bears. In the 1940s, he coached a skinny little kid who was told to go home and put on some weight. Otherwise, he was going to get killed. That skinny kid did put on some weight and developed a running style that was like a wounded duck. He set all sorts of records, and later they started calling him Crazy Legs. He starred at Wisconsin and then, during the war, at Michigan. In 1946, he won the MVP for the College All-Stars against the Washington Redskins, leading the Stars to a 27-7 victory. Elroy was inducted into the College and Pro Hall of Fames. He and Brock remained close friends for as long as he lived. In the mid-1950s, Brock coached another Hall of Famer, Jim Otto, number 00 of the Oakland Raiders. Otto played both ways. on one of Brock's unbeaten teams before he starred at Miami, Florida. Otto said, "Coach Brockmeyer saw the potential in me." In those war and pre-television days, life in small cities around the country revolved around Friday night football. The stands were full of loyal lumberjacks, thousands of them, and Brock and his players had a very special bond. Unwilling to see Brock move on to college coaching, members of the community found ways and means to help him stay in the work he loved. Throughout his tenure at Wausau, Brock always had high-quality assistants. Men like Tom Yelich, Rudy Botsford, Johnson, Torzani, Gabrielska, Thomas, Weeman, all helped him mold his teams. Here's a typical chalk talk before a game.
Win the toss, naturally we want to receive. And I've had the time with both quarterbacks. Last night we went over what we want to do in this ball game. When he calls the play, we want it to work. He's got the idea how many yards he wants to get. He's going to work out the strategy. You fellas, man. And on that simple screen, that kid should have gone all the way. Remember when they let you in for nothing, what we do? We play for that screen. When they let you in for nothing, any other place you play for the screen. You got caught on it once to the outside, that's because you turned your head around. Last time they punted to us, he kicked quite well. If it hadn't been for Neubauer, they'd have ran one back for a touchdown because we had no spread out whatsoever. You got bumped, so you decided you were blocked. Backmen are doing a good job, except you have let him run that simple pattern on you.
Fix him up, that stops.
Yeah, it stopped.
Pick him up, you don't let him go.
Well, we got to be alert. When the ball isn't in the air, get over there and help each other. I don't care about that tackling out of bounds over there.
While often open to many different offenses, Brock used the system that served him so well in college, the single wing. A system built for the running back talents of a Smith, a Hirsch, a Morrison, a Hainish, a Trotzer, a Zillman, a Kittle, and a Keel. When he had a quarterback who had a gifted arm like Johnny Weaver, he turned to the T formation, but always structured his offenses to meet the talent available. It is interesting, some colleges and professional teams are now incorporating some of Brock's plays, like 127, or as he called it, student body right. In addition to his inspirational qualities as a football coach, he excelled at the X's and O's, actually winning a new play national competition in the 50s.
The very first couple series you run your start signal on 2 till you get acquainted with the pike. Then we can bust it on 3 and 4 if you want. And whenever he gives one on 3, give it the second time. When they're punting, you can probably go in and place the Troy. Who's the other one that goes down?
We had Rosemurgy last week.
Rosemurgy, yeah. You went down.
When there. Can you see here?
When they're punting to us.
Yes.
Oh, you should be in. You should stay in now. Who's the other one? Well, who is?
Well, I was in.
You're the starter in. Stay in. Right. All right. Now, on the extra point. Neubauer, you don't watch the game from the bench. You're in there at the right side. Now, if we send in for an extra, if we get down to 10 and we're having a tough time getting any place in there, we may kick on 4th down. That means the extra point unit will go in when we holler, because we're only allowed 24 seconds to go out there and get set. If it's real